This conference will
this
now be
meeting.
recorded.
So Barb made the start of the recording. Thanks, Barb, for doing that. As I was saying, this is probably ends up being a lightning round version of this on June 12th. So thanks for being with us. At the end, we'll talk about what next steps are or future meetings. But Mike was originally scheduled to be first here, and for oh, there he is. I see him now. There he is. Mike, how you doing?
Good, Todd. How about you?
Good. You want to go first? Maybe you didn't hear me say, I think we're doing lightning round today. So if you want to go first, that'd be great.
Right. No problem. We had a meeting yesterday with the SBA district office in Minneapolis, and according to them, there's still about 100 plus billion in PPP programs. So they're very much encouraging people that if you need help, to go to your local banker and check the PPP program out. That's been extended now until December 31st with some new legislation. The other thing that we heard yesterday is that through the EIDL program, that all the applications that have been put through, those should be reviewed probably within the next 30 days. They're starting to see the end of the tunnel on that. So people who applied for the EIDL and haven't received a response yet should be getting some type of response here within the next 30 days. And basically, what I'm noticing from our perspective is that people are in that reopening mode. They're working to see what they can do to get things going and try to build that consumer confidence back. And at this point, that's basically what I have. If anybody needs any help with marketing, we can definitely help with marketing.
Mike, I know last time you talked about online marketing as well, and that's an area where you're kind of expanding your development and are able to help folks. So I heard that right? Is that correct?
Yep, we are moving in that area. We're hoping to have some new consultants on board as we move into the new fiscal year after July 1.
All right, excellent. So make sure you contact Mike if you have some needs in that area. As always, their services are fantastic and the price is right for sure, Mike. That's for sure.
It's free.
All right, that's wonderful. Thank you. So
Thank you.
Pass that around for all of you that might be, I think everybody's been on this meeting before. Maybe we have one newcomer, but Mike is with a Small Business Development Center. He's from town here, but those offices are in Mankato, and so you can Google them pretty quick and find out where they're at. So Ed, I think you're up next on our list, and then our friends from GMG Read.
Yeah, sounds good. Boy, it's our number is 16 right now. I was just kind of typing in the attendance. It kind of kept track of that all along. So we're kind of like the choir singing to the choir today, and that's it's great for me. I love these meetings. I really do. I learn a heck of a lot. Even Mike saying what he just said was really good information for me to spread to the business community and others. Want to thank the partners. It's good to be back. It's good to see Patty out there. Progressive Arts event is awesome. She's got that going tomorrow. So awesome to see business people on this call. Governor said a couple of weeks ago, even if the state loosens restrictions, customers aren't ready to come back necessarily, or if they won't, or if they're not ready, then they won't come back. And I got to say, the reality, what I see out there is not a lot of customers. I mean, no businesses are really overwhelmed by the Wednesday loosening of restrictions of this week. So the businesses that I talk to, nobody's really up in arms about state regulations or the governor or anything like that. Just haven't come across that. Maybe it's out there, but it's good to see shoppers and diners. I've been out in the day, I've been out at night even, just to be curious and kind of look around and see what's happening at some of the different places that are now open for indoor seating and more open for businesses. I wouldn't guess anyone's getting close to that 50% requirement, although some of the restaurants, some of the patios, I mean, when they open patios, that was doing really well. But the indoor seating, you just don't see a lot of that yet, and that's part of that consumer confidence piece. I guess that's why I'm excited about working with the EDA on funding for advertising and just creating a better stream of customers. I don't think it'll overwhelm any of the businesses by any means. The Minnesota Ready efforts, everyone's heard of that with the State Chamber and Greater Mankato Growth with their promotion punch. St. Peter Chamber definitely wants to be tapped into those efforts and really leverage that with a bigger voice and a bigger stage. Restaurants, one thing I would say about the reservations requirement, if I were the king, I would erase that. It's just a bad barrier at this time. I understand the intention with it. The tracing is important if something were to happen, but it's a barrier and a bad barrier. I think it just kind of implies that restaurants are busier than they are, and feels like the 50% rule is going to be strictly enforced. And I, as a customer, I think I'll speak for all customers, nobody wants to be kept track of. And so that reservation requirement is just kind of in the way, in my opinion. And like I say, I'm only one voice. Lots of activity with chamber bucks, another thing that's going on at the chamber. Chamber leaders are looking at a Christmas in July. In other words, they're encouraging shoppers to do their Christmas shopping in July to kind of get some money back into the economy and get things flowing. So we want to encourage that, promote that in person, online. Also at the chamber, our advocacy committee members are reaching out to many members and just kind of asking what we can and should be doing. Our member relations committee is also active, reaching out to the sectors, business sectors, organizations, and finally, we're ramping up our messaging. You'll remember that we have a business status page on our website under the COVID button, very easy to find. And so there's a lot of new messages with the evolution of things that have happened this week and the week before. And so we want to make sure that businesses are getting their messages out there, and we're doing that with social media too. Boy, I've gone on for a long time. Todd, give me the hook. Give me the hook, Todd.
We could probably have a bell for you or something, or an air horn, but so we appreciate you being on these and being the partner on these and making sure that we're inviting the right folks to participate. So with that, Ed, if you have questions, Ed, I got one last one for you, kind of a question. Are you doing Spin Go tonight?
Bingo is on hiatus.
Okay.
We thought it was kind of a quarantine thing, and people were like inside and things. So we don't want to discourage people from being out and about.
Oh,
and
sure.
Bingo kind of keeps them quarantined. So it's on hiatus. Maybe it'll come back. Maybe it's run its course.
Okay. All right. Thanks for sharing that, Ed. Thank you. Now we have our friends from GMG, Rita, John, and Patrick. I don't know. Patrick, you were the first on your microphone. You want to go first? Anything you want to share?
No, man, I'm just so anxious. I'm full of super awesome things to share. So just a couple quick updates from Greater Mankato Growth's perspective. First, as Ed mentioned, some of the advertising pieces. I know we've been in some level of coordination with he and his team there, but Greater Mankato Growth under our Visit Mankato banner will be launching a comprehensive consumer confidence campaign. I believe the first ads will run this weekend and will roll out significantly over the coming weeks. It is a $40,000 paid ad campaign, largely focused on sort of our immediate 20-50 mile vicinity of our region here, encouraging people to get back to shopping, get back to patronizing our businesses. And the campaign is, focused around how folks can do that safely, how our businesses are doing that safely. I know one of the first ads that I just saw is sort of two folks picking out ties at J. Lawns in Mankato with, their masks on, et cetera. So We're gonna be very aggressive about that consumer confidence piece. I think, Ed's right, is that folks won't show up unless they feel safe. And we know that our businesses are going above and beyond to make folks feel safe. And so we're going to highlight that and point that out and be very aggressive about our efforts to try to restore some normalcy to our economy. So look for that. Certainly it is a pretty broadly targeted campaign, so I know it will end up hopefully positively impacting St. Peter as well, just as part of that overall umbrella. On the advocacy front, as Ed mentioned, Minnesota Ready is the coordinated effort from the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce with chambers from all across the state. Greater Mankato Growth is actively participating in that along with the St. Peter Chamber, and the call there was to open fully all businesses in the state by June 19th. I know the governor has given some positive indications in that regard in the last week or so. I believe he set a bit of a timeline out there that he hopes to have the next announcement in terms of the next phase of reopenings to come prior to July the 4th. And so hopefully here in the next week or so, we'll see the next round of openings. But to Ed's point, folks aren't mobbing our businesses. I think it's safe to say that, we're ready to open fully. We've got the safety practices in place, and that businesses, I think, are well equipped to make the choice that is best suited for their business. And, there's only so long that bars, restaurants, salons, et cetera, can operate at a reduced capacity and make any kind of money. And so the time is kind of rapidly running out for us to get those businesses reopened. It is Friday the 12th, so the other piece that we are now actively tracking is the special session that will convene today at noon. A couple critical business pieces that we're looking at. One is Section 179 expensing. Not sure if that impacts anyone on the call, but if it does, you probably had a really unfortunate experience when you filed your state taxes this year. I understand that there is a compromise that's been reached amongst both bodies of the legislature to resolve that Section 179 issue. And so hopefully we'll be seeing that go forward. The other two pieces I want to highlight that will be important for the folks here is you remember that early on in this process, the Department of Employment and Economic Development, DEED, that's our state economic development agency, they created an emergency loan program. I think it was $30 million initially that was very quickly depleted. The legislature, as I understand it, has come to a compromise on recapitalizing that program, I believe, with another $30 million. But also importantly, what they're looking at is establishing a grant program. So not a loan program, a grant program that would be administered through DEED and would be targeted to small businesses. It's what they're looking at is about $60 million. And essentially they're going to split it, 30 million or so to the Metro, 30 million or so to Greater Minnesota. And as I understand, it's going to be administered by the initiative foundations. Targeted at small businesses, so 50 or less, anticipating that though it will be dramatically oversubscribed, what they're going to set up is a lottery system, as I understand it. And so there'll be an application window where you can put in an application, and then they'll take those applications and disperse the funds based on that lottery system. So that all being said, encourage you to pay very close attention to our blog, greatermankatoblog.com. That's where we will have all of the latest breaking information on that particular issue. Because, as I said, once the legislature does agree to it, pass it, that will open up that application window, and you're going to want to pay very close attention to getting an application, and if you're interested in receiving said grant or emergency loan. So I think that's it for me. A lot of things we're watching from the advocacy side and legislature side. So thanks for giving me the chance to report out.
Patrick, thanks for being with us all these weeks. We sure appreciate that. You have great connections, and so it's great to hear what you got going on. So John, you're up next. What do you got for us? Nice hat, by the way, John.
Yeah, you like that? Kind of an unveiling today, so it's not too bad. Just a quick addition to Patrick's comments, related to the consumer confidence campaign. A great resource to continue to review. Most folks, I think, have taken a look at what their preparedness plan needs to be. I'm going to drop a link into the chat really quick for the staysafemn.gov website. I encourage you to take a look at it periodically. They're continuing to add more content in terms of best guidance for different industries. The reason I'd say, take a look at it again, review it, and take a look at your preparedness plan. That can be part of your marketing effort. Just highlighting what you're doing to have a nice, safe environment. With our efforts and the St. Peter Chamber efforts to promote consumer confidence, we definitely need business partners on that as well. Highlighting exactly what people can experience when they go into the building. So take a look at that website, find the industry content that's appropriate to you. Right on the top of the website, there's a link to industry guidance, so you can take a look at that. It might come up, you can come up with some different ideas to highlight your business either on social media or other avenues, letting people know that you're ready and good to go.
All right, thanks, John. Thanks, John. I know that you maybe put that up there already. I know Barbara put on the chat. So if you folks are looking, John put on there the Stay Safe Minnesota, and Barbara put on there the Greater Mankato blog information. So you can get a hold of that pretty quickly. Great. Patrick, John, thank you. Thank you. Hey, Russ, you're up next. Quick on EDA microloan program and advertising stuff, a little bit of which Ed and Patrick and John all talked about.
Yeah, on our microloan program, this afternoon I'm going to distribute the 50th loan. We'll be up to $441,000. I see I have an application on my desk that came in the Dropbox overnight. So at some point, the EDA is going to talk about sunsetting that program and cease to take applications. That may be as early as June 30th, but we'll have those discussions with the EDA as we move forward. We've gotten good feedback, actually. Mr. Prafke reported some of the feedback he got from one of the local business people. So there does seem to be an appreciation, and we're just honored that we're able to provide some assistance during these times when certainly we had no idea 12 weeks ago when we entered into this where we'd be today. But I'm glad that we've been able to do something to help out. Patrick and Ed and John all talked about that consumer confidence in Mankato. Ed and I have had a preview of one of the ads, print ads, and we approached the EDA, the Economic Development Authority, our local board, at the last meeting, and we talked about putting together an advertising campaign, and they expressed some reservations, and they asked that we perhaps fine-tune something a little bit better to bring it back to them. So Ed and I intend to approach the EDA at their meeting that's coming up here on the 25th and have a little bit more detailed. But we'd asked that they put $10,000 into a campaign, and I think that could certainly go a ways to help supplement Mankato's efforts with their $40,000. But we don't access services from Greater Mankato Growth from their Visit Mankato business sector. We have our own Tourism and Visitors Bureau that Ed manages, and they do a capable job. And they actually then distribute the local tax dollars that are generated from the lodging facilities. So Ed has put some more work into this. We've got some not actually copy of ads, but we have some idea of where perhaps those would be appropriately placed if the financing is put in place. So if anyone has ideas, I know Councilman Johnson, Councilman DeVos, they're the two representatives of the City Council on the EDA, so feel free to share your thoughts with them, Mr. Prafke or I. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are, but we're going to be going back to the EDA on the 25th. That's really all I had. Like we said, we were going to do a lightning round. It's 9:22. I think that's the fastest we've done this. And I want to take the opportunity again to thank John and Patrick. And when we first started out, I put together kind of an outline of the agenda that was somewhat detailed. And For the last ones, I just tell the guys, develop your own content and run with it. So having their availability and having Mike available to us has been such a blessing. And it really is a comfort to me knowing that we've got those resources that are just a phone call away. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Ed, for your efforts too.
So let's, yeah, for sure. I want to echo that, and for everybody that's been participating. So it kind of sounds like we're at the end. I mean, we're kind of giving the thank you speeches, right? So it kind of sounds like we're at the end. So here's what I would propose to the group. I would propose to the group that this is the last meeting unless one or two things happen. Lisa or Cindy or Patty or whomever's been on these meetings say, oh my God, we got to keep going, we got to keep going. Or some significant fact set news comes out that we believe would be of value to provide some additional information on, and make sure that we contact you. And then we would contact folks the same way we have been, which is Ed's list and our list. So we both send out and look for folks to participate. So without this being binding, does that seem about right? Yes or no? Does that seem about right? Do you want to meet next week? You got stuff to do, I'm sure. Most people got stuff to do. Patty, were you thumbs up or thumbs down?
Patty, you're still muted. There you go.
Got thumbs up on letting it go unless something big happens.
Okay. Anybody else have any other thoughts that's on here? We got some folks on by phone. Lisa, did you want to mention something, Lisa?
I just want to go back when Ed was speaking, he said something about the tracking of the restaurants, and I do have a question. Are they turning in those reservations, or is this just the restaurant holds on to it if somebody were to get sick? How does that work?
My understanding is the restaurant just holds on to those. Nobody's enforcing it. There's no government agency keeping track of those or any enforcement of any type whatsoever.
I just want to say to the public then, if people watch this, because I've had a list ongoing and people seem very comfortable with it. I do not use those names and numbers just in case somebody were to say they got sick in my store, we can contact them. I just don't want people to feel like their privacy is invaded when they're shopping St. Peter, because we really are protective of that. So.
Great point. Great point. Anyone else have anything they want to contribute, whether it's to the discussion about whether we continue or don't continue? Right now, I think we're in a not continue unless. Anybody have anything else they want to share for the broader group?
Actually, I'd like
Patty.
to say, again, something I heard just yesterday, and it was about another large Mankato store that's kind of dedicated to health and healthy lifestyle, and really not promoting social distancing or mask wearing or putting signage up. And I was shocked, and I just wanted to speak to that. I think it's important to have people feel safe. I've got a stash of, new masks here. If some people come in, it's easier than I thought it was going to be. Here, oh, do you have a mask? Oh, if you don't, here, this one, a gift for you. Take it.
Sure.
But I think having that kind of atmosphere, the people who went into these two large stores in Mankato said they're not going to be going back because it just felt creepy and awful, contagious. So.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I don't want St. Peter to do that.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago, that's kind of will probably be the new issue on Yelp or whatever review process is going on. How do you feel? Do you feel comfortable? Does it feel clean? Do you feel safe? Those are the things that people are going to gravitate towards now, probably, yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, thanks for sharing that, Patty. Anybody else have anything they want to share? All right. We're faster than 30 minutes. That is a lightning round. So thanks to everyone. If you have other comments or questions, please let us know. Patrick and John's information you can find pretty readily. Ed and Russ and I are pretty easy to find. Thanks for being with us all this time.
Yep. And I want to say hey to Lori. She sent me an email earlier, said she wasn't going to be able to participate because she was cutting hair. So she's probably snipping away as she's listening to us. So have a nice weekend, Lori.
All right, great to see everyone. I'm going to turn it off now.
Thank you.
Hey, keep going, stay positive, test negative.